My birthday started like any other, filled with anticipation and excitement. I had no idea that this day would mark a turning point in my life, one that I'd never forget. Ethan, my husband, had been acting a bit unusual in the days leading up to my birthday. I brushed it off, assuming he was planning one of his signature surprises. He'd always been good at creating unforgettable moments, whether it was a romantic dinner or a surprise weekend getaway, but this time was different. The morning began with Ethan's warm smile and a deep kiss. "Happy birthday," he whispered, his eyes sparkling with a mischievous glint. Throughout the day, he dropped hints about something special he'd planned. "You'll love it," he teased, refusing to reveal any details. When evening rolled around, I got dressed, choosing a simple yet elegant dress that hugged my curves. As I applied the final touch of lipstick, the doorbell rang. I assumed it was a delivery or maybe a surprise gift. Instead, when I opened the door, I found Ethan's best friend James standing there with a knowing smile. James had been part of our lives for years. He was charming, funny, and easy to be around, but I had never seen him as anything other than a close family friend. That night, though, something about his presence felt different. "What's he doing here?" I asked Ethan. When James walked in, "It's part of your surprise," Ethan said, grinning. I was intrigued but also confused. Ethan took my hand and led me into the living room. The space was transformed. Candles lit the room in a soft glow and sensual music played in the background. The atmosphere felt intimate, almost electric. My heart started racing as Ethan pulled me close and whispered, "Are you ready for your surprise?" Before I could answer, he kissed me deeply, his hand sliding down my back. For a moment, I was lost in the warmth of his touch, forgetting we weren't alone. When I opened my eyes, I saw James watching us from the couch, a slight smile playing on his lips. It was then that I began to understand this wasn't going to be a typical birthday surprise. This was something entirely unexpected. As Ethan's kisses grew more intense, James stood and moved closer. The energy in the room shifted, becoming thick with suspense and desire. My mind raced. Part of me wanted to stop this, to say something, but another part was undeniably curious. Ethan leaned into my ear and whispered, "Do you trust me?" I nodded, unable to find the words to express the smile. He kissed me again, this time with even more urgency. James drew closer, his movements careful and deliberate. His hand brushed against mine, and I felt a shiver run through me. The three of us were tangled in a web of emotions and sensations I hadn't known were possible. Every touch, every glance was charged with an intensity that left me breathless. The night unfolded in ways I could never have imagined. There was a strange but undeniable connection between the three of us, a shared trust that allowed us to explore this new dynamic together. It was exhilarating, terrifying, and incredibly freeing all at once. By the end of the night, I lay between Ethan and James, completely spent. Ethan kissed me softly, his hand resting on my hip. James smiled at me, his eyes filled with warmth. We didn't need to speak. The silence was filled with an understanding that this night had changed everything. The following morning, James left early, leaving Ethan and me to reflect on what had happened. As I sipped my coffee, Ethan leaned over and whispered, "Happy birthday," his voice low and playful. I smiled, feeling a mix of emotions. The night before had been wild, intense, and completely unexpected. It had pushed the boundaries of our relationship in ways I'd never thought possible, but instead of feeling regret, I felt closer to Ethan than ever before. In the days that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about that night. It replayed in my mind like a secret memory, one that brought a shiver of excitement every time I thought of it. Ethan and I shared glances that spoke volumes, an unspoken understanding that something had shifted between us. One evening, as we sat on the couch, Ethan broke the silence. "I've been thinking," he began, his voice low and teasing, "about your birthday surprise." My heart skipped a beat. "Yeah," I replied, trying to sound casual. He moved closer, his hand sliding up my thigh. "Did you enjoy it?" I nodded, biting my lip. "You know I did." His grin widened. "Would you want to do it again?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. I felt my pulse quicken. The idea of repeating that night, of exploring this new side of our relationship further, was both thrilling and terrifying. "Maybe," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan leaned in, his lips brushing against my ear. "I've been talking to James," he admitted. "He'd be open to it if you are." A flush of heat spread through me at his words. The memory of James's touch, his presence, came rushing back. The thought of experiencing it all again sent a thrill through me. "What are you suggesting?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Ethan's smile was mischievous. "I'm suggesting we don't stop at just one night." The decision wasn't easy, but in the end, we chose to embrace this new chapter in our relationship. A few days later, Ethan told me he'd made plans with James for an evening together. This time, there was no birthday to celebrate, no special occasion, just us exploring something deeper and more. When the night arrived, I felt the same mix of anticipation and excitement. As soon as James walked through the door, the tension in the air was palpable. This time there was no hesitation. We knew what we were stepping into, and we welcomed it. The night was even more intense than the first. Every touch, every kiss, every moment was electric. The three of us moved together seamlessly, as if we had been doing this forever. By the time it was over, I was completely spent, lying in a tangle of sheets and limbs, feeling more connected to Ethan than ever before. This experience wasn't just about physical connection. It was about trust, exploration, and pushing the boundaries of what a relationship could be. Ethan and I found a new depth in our marriage, one that brought us closer together in ways we never expected. As I lay in bed reflecting on everything, I realized how lucky I was to have a partner who knew me so well, who could surprise me in ways I never imagined. This wasn't just the start of a new chapter, it was the beginning of a whole new story.